Tekken is one of the biggest fighting game franchises on the planet. If you talk to anyone in the FGC, they've probably had a run-in with Tekken, and if you talk to people outside of the FGC, there might be a good chance that they've heard of the franchise before. In some countries, it is the biggest fighting game around. For a personal anecdote, my dad has no idea who any of the Street Fighter characters are, but if I show him Heihachi, he'll point at it and go, hey, that's the guy from Tekken. But even though it's one of the biggest fighting game franchises out there, a lot of people will bounce off the games really quickly. Now, why is that? It's a little bit weird to see something this popular deflect players this much. Doubly so when people who compete in games similar to this also bounce off of them. So what gives? Well, Tekken has a reputation among the fighting game community as being a pretty hard game to get into. But why is that? And why do I believe that Tekken 8 might have finally found a way to fix this flaw? Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about how Tekken 8 might have fixed the franchise's biggest flaw. But first, this video is sponsored by Gamersupps. Now, if you've been around the channel at any point, you know about Gamersupps. The extremely tasty energy drink supplement, which is actually quite healthy for you, which comes in a variety of amazing flavors. I drink it every day and I've showed about it non-stop, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you about specifically. Recently, Gamersupps have released a new food brand, being Gamersupps. And even though it's called soups, it's ramen. Gamersupps comes in 3 different flavors, being chicken, beef, and vegetable. You can buy them as individual cups or as variety packs, which come at a slight discount. They sent me the chicken one about a month ago now, and it was really good. It is one of the best instant noodles I've ever had. I mean, it's instant noodles, so, you know, it's hard to mess up, but they did a good job. Better than super noodles. Maybe I shouldn't put that bit in the ad. But wait, if the variety pack discount isn't enough for you, then I've got a special offer. If you use code HE'sGekin at checkout, you'll get 10% off any order on the store, meaning you could get some Gamersupps or just some Gamersupps for a cheaper price. So what are you waiting for? Go get some Gamersupps, go get some Gamersupps, and support them and my channel while you're doing it. Thank you so much to Gamersupps for the partnership once again. Now let's get back onto the video. So, let's get back to that question. Why is Tekken seen as hard? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but let's start with the most basic complaint. Characters in Tekken are pretty complicated. The way that Tekken works means that every attack button is assigned to a limb for the character. So you have a left punch, a right punch, a left kick, and a right kick. Each of these buttons can do a different attack depending on which direction that you're holding. So if you hold no direction and press jab, you'll get one move, but if you press forward and press jab, you'll get a completely different move. Scale this out by giving every direction and every button a specific move, and also button combinations that give you different moves, as well as some traditional motion inputs, and you can begin to see the problem. Tekken characters have massive move lists, generally having characters being able to go above the 100 moves mark. And this isn't even including stances, or the weird movement that Tekken has, or the fact that you have to sidestep and do different things to beat different moves. It's a lot to learn. And as a reminder, all of these 100 plus moves are per character. So when you have a roster of 30 characters, it gets very confusing very quickly. Generally, in most fighting games, you have to learn a couple of things for each character. So you learn the things for your characters, you become pretty decent at playing them in a vacuum, and then you have to learn how they interact with other characters. That's where the depth of a lot of modern fighting games comes in, with how matchups interact and how you beat your opponents. Tekken still has this with a lot of very specific matchup knowledge, however, there's a lot for every character. A lot of the time, players can go into Tekken with a couple of simple mix-ups and a couple of simple knowledge checks and do very, very well. Because, well, not everybody's gonna know all the knowledge checks. Basic strategies in Tekken work a lot of the time, because there's so many characters with so many moves that you have to know exactly what that move does and how to punish it. Sure, once you've played enough and you're smart enough, you can generally figure it out on your own. But some moves are easier to beat than others. Sure, you can just duck some of Hwang's kicks, but do you know how to tech King's command grabs? If you don't, well, you're probably going to get rolling cradled to death. And this is just how Tekken is. This is where the depth of the game comes in, and this is where dedicated Tekken players learn to love the game. But for a lot of players just coming into it, even finding your own gimmicks can be pretty hard. And the worst bit about it is, most Tekken games up to this point haven't really done anything to explain themselves. With basically no tutorials and single-player casual modes kind of lacking, a lot of the time players are just sort of thrown into the games and forced to figure it out. This is fine when you start with Tekken 3 at 5 years old and continue to play the games for the rest of your life, but starting Tekken 8 at 24 with no real knowledge of the rest of the series makes it a little bit harder. So we can all kind of agree that this is a bit of a problem, right? Tekken is cool and everyone loves watching it, but not many people are really getting into it. So how do we fix this? Well, the developers looked at this problem and may have looked at Street Fighter's homework a little bit because they invented a mode which nearly fixes everything. Tekken 8 introduces the Arcade Quest mode, which is a single-player story mode in which you rise up the ranks in order to fight in the Tekken World Tour. I'm gonna be entirely honest, I've not read the story. I don't really care that much. The art style is... and the story seems to be a generic shonen anime-inspired romp about you going to beat your big nemesis who's basically Virgil. It's a fun game mode. It's nice to see that Tekken is something for people who don't really want to play online or against other people, but that's not why we're here today. I want to talk about what this mode really is. For where some people see a World Tour knockoff, I see something that I've been really excited for a long time. Aside from maybe them fighting herds, there's not really any fighting games that have single-player modes that attempt to teach the players how to play them at a good fundamental level. Tekken 8's Arcade Quest attempts to solve this problem in a rather unique way. When you start the game mode, the game will ask you how familiar you are with Tekken. If you click for beginners, then you'll get a full dedicated tutorial, which, let's be honest, most fighting games have at this point. However, it's after this where it becomes really interesting. The basic gameplay loop is you go to X arcade in X place, fight X amount of people until you get a specific rank, then go into a tournament or fight a boss in order to prove yourself to then move on to the next area. This is a pretty basic gameplay loop and is a nice way to get players to keep coming back, especially with the fact that they keep giving you customization options the more that you beat people. You're also able to face specific challenges if you really want to fight a specific character or if you just want to get that specific outfit. But how does the game teach you more after the tutorial? Well, every time you go into a new area, you have a new tutorial, which gives you another fundamental thing about Tekken. It can teach you about the heat system, it can teach you about launchers, about how to punish moves, that kind of thing. Then once it teaches you, it lets you go into the fake rank ladder and fight people at the rank of the area that you're in. But it will give you specific missions that you should complete. This may be land X move, land X type of move, deal X amount of damage in a combo, or silly things like that. The nicest bit about it though is that most of these have to do with fundamental Tekken gameplay, I think. A lot of the time, the game will give you a list of moves which you can use in order to complete those goals. So if one of them is hit a heat engager, it will give you some heat engages. If one of them is land a damaging combo, it'll give you a launcher and some combo fillers. It just has the move at the side of the screen to help you out. And a lot of these moves can be very helpful in different ways. With the game slowly giving you moves for your character, you're able to learn more and more about them the more you play, and find ways to add these moves into your move list at a slow, steady, and safe pace. It takes the ginormous move lists of Tekken and narrows them down into something that's manageable for you. Oh, but it probably makes me play like Jin or Kazuya or something like that. No, motherfucker, you get to pick your character. I wanted to learn Reina, one of the hardest newcomers in Tekken history, and I just could. It gave me the basic moves I wanted, and with a little bit of extra homework, I was able to make a decent Reina. I even played a bit of rank and went on a win streak because I just knew how to play my character better. It's a really cool system. Having everything spoon-fed to you slowly out of this absolutely massive game makes it so that it's not as intimidating to get into it. The game also gives you little challenges which it's not going to teach you about and wants you to figure out yourself. In the later areas of the game, I got 2 missions which weren't the easiest and were pretty vague. One of them was punish X moves, and the other one was land a 70 damaging combo. Punish X moves is kind of hard because, well, it's very character specific. The game doesn't go through the entire cast and goes, okay, here's the moves that they're gonna use the most, learn! It just puts you in the match and goes, okay, punish this guy. And that could use a little bit of homework. Not to mention the 70 damaging combo is a really hard one. I haven't found a single combo that does that much damage yet. I barely passed the 60 mark. By encouraging players to go out and learn these things about the game, it gives them more of an attachment to the actual process of learning itself. There were multiple times where I was playing and I was so focused on beating the mission that I lost a round or even the entire game. Granted, some of these were bullshit. One of them was like, oh, put your enemy against the wall, and it put me in the map that's got the biggest space between the center and the wall, so I couldn't exactly do that one. But apart from that, a lot of the missions can be done on any map against any character. I will say it's not entirely perfect. Disregarding the story, which obviously I didn't read and it seems a bit generic, there's a couple of things that I wish were improved about the mode. The most important one is I'd rather they gave me better advice when I lose. A lot of the time when you lose, it's generally just, hey, you should have used Rage Art, which, yeah, it'll get you wins, but the amount of wins I've got online because I've just waited for my opponent to use Rage Art and then punish them it's more than I want to admit. I'd rather them be like, hey, you got hit by X amount of lows. Maybe look out for more lows. Or, hey, you got hit with this throw. This is how you tech that throw. Something more useful like that where you can go, oh, and then actually learn from it rather than just, use Rage Art would be a lot nicer. Granted, this isn't exactly easy to program, but it's for an improvement. Also, I cannot emphasize how I do not give a fuck about how the lobby looks. Like, it's weird. Ooh, it's not good looking. Ooh. I love custom characters. Do not get me wrong. I love custom lobbies. This is a little bit shit. Another thing is, while you're playing, the game will actually give you moves that you could use in the middle of the match, which is really nice. The only thing I have to say about it is I wish I could use this feature in different modes. Like, let's be real, it's basically just like having a notepad next to you with whatever moves you should use, right? So, like, putting free moves that I could put on the left-hand side of my screen in the middle of my online rank match would be really nice. Just something that I could look at and be like, oh, cool, yeah, I should use this move. Or, I need to figure out how to put this into my game plan, but I can't exactly remember it in the heat of the moment. Just boom, look, it's there, and I can use it. You already let me see when the opponent is using that basic heat stuff. Just let me put like a notepad on my screen. Also, this mode is very good for basic level stuff, but I wish it had more character-specific guides. Being able to select any character in the game is really nice. However, I kind of wish that more of the tutorials were tailored to what my character is strong at. Like, if you're playing a Mishima, maybe give me a basic wave dash tutorial, just like how to input it. Just one thing that's character specific, just so I feel more at home with my character. Apart from that, though, I think it's a pretty good mode. I also didn't get to point this out, and I don't exactly know how true this is, but apparently every single AI that you fight is a ghost AI. If you don't know what ghosts are, they're basically just mirror images of opponents. It's a really weird system. You basically play, and then it takes the data that you have given it in order to play like you, which can make it feel like you're fighting against regular opponents, but it still very much felt like I was fighting against AI opponents. Who really knows? I have no idea. Still though, this mode made me really want to play Tekken. It wanted me to learn more about the systems and more about my character and get more into the game, which, if that was their aim, they succeeded amazingly. So, I can finally say that Tekken no longer has the worst tutorial in fighting game history, and can thankfully say that Tekken 8 is welcoming to newcomers and allows you to learn the game at your own pace. Hopefully, I haven't finished the mode yet. It's a very long mode. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100k this year. It's not likely to happen, but hey, one can dream, right? Thank you all for watching. Go enjoy some Tekken, and I'll hopefully see you all next week. As always, a very special thanks to 64MHz, Almost Nap Time, Ben from Canada, Cervantes de Leon, Daniel Wiedericht, Edison Luttery, Fexo, Games.png, I Am Naruto, Knife and Spoon, Critty Cat, MP04, Mr. Clen, Ray W, Sergeant Cubby, Super, Falcon, Tom Tanks, Velvet Puppy, Volta, and Zandatsu for being Tier 2 Patreon supporters.